sure. This is 27:28. So the Lord saw that Brahma was very anxious about the planning and construction of the different planetary systems and was depressed upon seeing the devastating water. He could understand the intention of Brahma, and thus he spoke in deep, thoughtful words, removing all the illusion that had arisen.
The Supreme Personality Godhead then said, O Brahma, O depth of Vedic wisdom, be neither depressed nor anxious about the execution of creation. What you are begging from me has already been granted.
O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you'll be able to understand everything from within your heart.
O Brahma, when you absorb in devotional service in the course of your creative activities, you will see me in you and throughout the universe. And you will see that you yourself, the universe, and the living entities are all in me.
You will see me in all living entities as well as all over the universe, just as fire is situated in wood. Only in that state of transcendental vision will you be able to be free from all kinds of illusion.
When you are free from the conception of gross and subtle bodies, and when your senses are freed from all influences of the modes of material nature, you will realize your pure form in my association. At that time, you will be situated in pure consciousness.
Since you have desired to increase the population innumerably and expand your varieties of service, you shall never be deprived in this matter, because my causeless mercy upon you will always increase for all time.
You are the original Rishi, because your mind is always fixed on you. Even though you will be engaged in generating variant potency, the vicious know the passion that encroach upon you.
Although I am not easily knowable by the conditioned soul, you have known me today because you know that my personality is not constituted of anything material, and specifically not of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements.
When you were contemplating whether there was a source to the stem of the lotus of your birth, and you even entered into that stem, you could not trace out anything. But at that time, I manifested my form from within.
Although the praise that you have chanted praising the glories of my transcendental activities, the benefits you have undertaken to understand it, and find your firm faith in me, all these are to be considered my causes.
I am very much pleased by your description of me in terms of my transcendental qualities, which appear mundane to the mundanest. I grant you all benedictions in your desire to glorify all the planets by your actions.
Any human being who prays like a rock and who thus worships me shall soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires, for I am the Lord of all nations.
It is the opinion of expert instinctualists that the ultimate goal of performing all traditional earth works, penances, sacrifices, charities, mystic activities, trances, etc., is to invoke my satisfaction.
I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearest. People are wrongly attached to the gross and subtle body, but this will be attached to me only.
By following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before. By dint of your complete Vedic wisdom and the body you have directly received from me, the supreme cause of development.
The sage Maitreya said, after instructing Brahma, the creator of the universe, to expand the primeval Lord, the personality of Godhead and his personal form as Narayana disappeared.
Now you had asked me to focus on 30, correct? Okay, you didn't. So just read the purport then for that.
You do the same thing, the call response verse itself.
Okay, sure. Okay, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Bhuyastvam tapa atishta.
Bhuyastvam tapatishta.
Vijam chaiva marashrayam.
Vidyam chaiva madashrayam.
Tabhyamanta Ridi Brahman.
Tavyamantari Brahman.
Lokam Drakshasya Pavritan.
Lokam Drashasya Brahman.
Bhuyastvam tapa atishta.
Bhuyastvam tapatishta.
Vijam chaiva marashrayam.
Vidyam chaiva madashrayam.
Tabhyamanta Ridi Brahman.
Tavyamantari Brahman.
Lokam Drakshasya Pavritan.
Lokam Drashasya Brahman. Bhuyastvam tapatishta.
Bhuyastvam tapa atishta. Vijam chaiva marashraya. Tabhyananta Ridi Brahman. Lokam Drakshasya Pavritan. Bhuyastvam tapa atishta. Vijam chaiva marashrayam. Tabhyananta Ridi Brahman. Lokam Drakshasya Pavritan. Anyone else on the chat? Bhuyastvam tapa atishta. Vijam chaiva marashrayam. Tabhyamanta Ridi Brahman. Lokam Drakshasya Pavritan. Bhuya. Again. Tvam, yourself. Tapa, penance. Atishta, be situated. Vidyam, in the knowledge. Cha, also. Eva, certainly. Mat, my. Ashrayam, under the protection. Tabhyam, by those qualifications. Anta, within. Ridi, in the heart. Brahman, O Brahmana. Lokan, all the worlds. Drakshasi, you will see. Apavritan, all disclosed. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. Please repeat, O Brahma. Situate yourself in penance and meditation. And follow the principles of knowledge. To receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. Purport. The mercy the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. So as I'm reading this, I want you to think about like what stands out in what we've read or something in the purport. If you can just, what stood out to you? The mercy the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. But his mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the planetary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. The directions were to come from within, and there was no necessity for anxiety in that task. Such instruction of Buddha Yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. And that verse says, if you know it, you can say it with me. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam kriti purvakam tadadi mudi yogam tam yenamam priyantate. Who wants to say the translation?
Those who are constantly devoted to serving with love, I give them that understanding.
So really, that's kind of the purport of the whole thing. Is there anything that anyone heard so far that just stood, kind of jumped out at them as we were reading? Yes.
Whenever it says beyond imagination.
Yeah, just the power that we can get to execute our duty. It's like beyond imagination, and we can all experience that. Certainly, I experienced it in my life. To see how Srila Prabhupada's movement grew, and how some seemingly impossible tasks, putting on these incredible Rath Yatras with people that had really no knowledge of how to build. But yet Krishna gave, because of their surrender and their love for Prabhupada, Krishna gave them that intelligence to be able to execute, that very special duty. So sometimes we may think that I can't do it, it's too difficult. We're out on book distribution, and maybe, we it's hard, people, they're not stopping, or they don't want it, or they're like, I'm good, and they just kind of move along. And so you feel like, well, it's not working. But here it explains that actually Krishna is giving us everything that we need. Just like Lord Brahma, here he was, first living entity in the water of devastation. He doesn't really know anything. He's not getting any literal instructions, but the instructions are all coming from where? They're all coming from within. They're all coming from the heart. So that's something that we can remember and really pay attention to. And as we chant our rounds every day, and as we read, and as we perform our service with attention, we'll find that Krishna will do the same for us. He'll give us that instruction from within of what to do in good times and difficult times that can happen. And we see that in the lives of so many of the Bhagavatam characters. And we see that, in their difficulty, how they were able to take shelter of Krishna. Anybody think of anyone in particular that was able to do that from the Bhagavatam? Anybody you can think of? Like, for example, yes, Prahlad. Okay, it's a great example, And here he was, and he heard actually from within and without. And Prabhupada does give that instruction that the spiritual master from the outside is speaking, and then also the Lord within the heart is speaking. So in the case of Prahlad, he was hearing from Narada Muni in the womb. So he heard all that. And then plus, Krishna speaking to him within the heart. So even though he faced so many obstacles, so many kind of unimaginable difficulties, from his own father, but he was able to overcome them all due to his faith. Now, every situation doesn't end like Prahlad's does, it's kind of magnificent because Prahlad was saved from every obstacle. He was picked up by the elephant, was supposed to trample and put on his head, and so many ways he was saved. So for ourselves, it may not exactly work out that way, but at the same time, we can know that Krishna has a special plan for us. Like I think of Gajendra, the elephant, right? And it's kind of exceptional because Gajendra, in his last life, he learned so many prayers, so many Sanskrit prayers. So in his life as an elephant, which came about, as a curse, he found himself in a difficult situation where he was being attacked by an alligator in the water, as he was attempting to enjoy. So there's a lot of comparisons that can be made to that. But so there he is in the water, the alligator's grabbing onto his foot, and Prabhupada makes the point that the alligator was in his element because he was in the water and Gajendra wasn't. So the alligator had the advantage. So it's explained they fought for like thousands of years, a little hard to comprehend that, but that's what it says. And so he could feel that he was losing ground. He was losing ground. So because he'd memorized those prayers in his last life, they went with him. He still remembered those prayers. So that's something to think about, like how important it is to really take these prayers in our heart, you know what I mean? And be able to keep them with us. So even in a difficult time, we have those prayers. So Gajendra was able to remember the prayers. He simply picked up a lotus flower with his trunk, held it up, said the prayer, offered to Krishna, and immediately down came Krishna to take him, to take him and to save him. So that's the situation with him. And also, anybody else have a point that really came out to them during any of the purports? Nisha?
I like, it was saying, can you go back to the purport real quick? I forget the exact word, but it was
Sure.
like, oh, entrusted. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Up
yeah.
a little. Like, Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating, like, kind of that, like, Krishna and like we were giving you, like trusting you with the service.
Right.
And then actually Gopal Prabhu, I was thanking him for his service, and he always says, devotional service is a privilege. So if you can talk a little
That's
bit
for
about
sure, isn't it? Like maybe devotional service is granted to someone after so many lifetimes, and so of being in the material world. So when you get that opportunity to perform devotional service, it's a very great privilege. And even though you may do something like let's say you're the cook, or you're cleaning the floor, or whatever it is that you might do, it may not seem as important as somebody who's out on the front lines and distributing the books, or out there giving classes or preaching in some way. But realistically, and from what I remember about Srila Prabhupada, once he was taking the offering of a devotee in Australia, he was eating some puris. And as he ate the puris, he said, I can understand by eating these puris that this devotee is chanting really nice rounds, and following all the regulative principles. So it's something to think that whatever we're doing and putting our heart into it, into our devotional service, that affects everyone. It actually affects the entire world. So that is, we're being entrusted by the service that we're given. And by doing that service, we're helping the entire situation of the world also. We look at Srila Prabhupada and just what a task he had. And it wasn't easy, because when he first came over, he would often go back to the ticket office, and find out, well, when is the next ship leaving? He just had that as an option, even though he never took that option. Like even in our own minds, we might think, well, I might have to go do this, or I might have to go do that, or I may have to take a vacation for a while, or whatever it might be. But Prabhupada, he had such great faith in Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur that he was able to persevere, even though you imagine this very elderly man who always took Bhagavat Prasadam, and suddenly he's thrust into this atmosphere, into this culture, or this culture, really. How difficult that was. And he was dealing with people that were taking LSD and acting crazy. And his Bhagavad Gita that he had translated, he actually someone stole the manuscript and he destroyed it. So if it was me, I would have thought, maybe Krishna doesn't want me to do this, because of what happened, but no, Prabhupada just started over again, and he finished that translation, and he came over with very, very little beside his trunk of books. And he was able to, create this whole worldwide movement little by little with his, in one sense, his monkey soldiers, because so many of these devotees, people became devotees, they didn't have much background knowledge. Someone who's Indian bodied, they may have, for better and for worse, they may have some understanding of scripture. Sometimes it's a hindrance and sometimes it's a help, because sometimes the hindrance can be that you follow all the rules and regulation, but you may not understand the purport here, the idea that how special this service is and how we've been entrusted with this mission. And another really beauty of this whole process is how it affects everyone. Like chanting Hare Krishna, just chanting Hare Krishna, it's going down to Harinam. Prabhupada says it goes around the world so many times, like 6 times, purifying everything in its path. So sometimes it may seem like when I became a devotee in 1974, to be a vegetarian was very, very weird. I was vegetarian. That was very, very strange. And yoga was pretty much unknown, So it's really Prabhupada's mission that brought all of these things to its fruition. It was my understanding and my vision, I could see that distributing Prabhupada's books to the masses brought yoga up as something being very important, and being a vegetarian or vegan also that, and even kirtan became so popular, due to Prabhupada promoting it. Even there's a rabbi kirtan, that they do that in the Jewish faith, but still this idea of chanting God's names, certainly Prabhupada brought that. And also Prabhupada was very, at one time, one of the devotees was trying to kind of pin him down as to what was the best thing. And Prabhupada said, don't try to make me sectarian. Even though certainly Krishna consciousness is the best opportunity to be able to become closer to God, certainly. But still, if someone's a Christian and they're able to chant God's names and follow Christ, then we would encourage them on that path. At the same time, give you a book, because I was also a Christian before I became a devotee, and I was able to, by reading Prabhupada's books, I was able to learn so much more about God. What he looked like, where he was from, what he liked to do, what he liked to eat. All of those things completely unknown. So generally, God is just like a very, very ephemeral idea, of who he is. And his name is God, Well, it's some other religions, some people call him Allah, some people call him Buddha, like that. But, Krishna is such a special name because it means the most beautiful person, the reservoir of pleasure. So we can kind of take some shelter in knowing that we have this very intimate knowledge of God, and that we're able to serve God in this very intimate way by serving, what he likes. We can make whatever, we can make pizza, we can make but Krishna, what are some of the special things that Krishna likes to eat? Anybody, just shout out. Butter. Krishna loves butter. What else?
The description of Krishna standing on the gourd of the hill, his hand, he has a mixture of yogurt, honey, and there's a lot more other stuff. It's jaggery or something. Like
Yeah.
Sugar crystals,
Yeah.
and a few other things, perhaps.
Nice.
Standing on the gourd of the hill.
Yeah. So he likes, samosas, and he likes, sabjis and all of that. And as we offer that with love, and of course, that's what Krishna tastes, right? Because there's a story of little Raghunath Das, and he's offering the prasadam to the deity. His father had to go somewhere, so he entrusted his son to offer the prasadam. So he offers it, and then it's still there, because that's how it is. But he's like, my dad's going to be mad if you don't eat this. you have to eat it. You have to, he's practically crying, maybe even crying, please eat it. So the deity eats it out of his love and devotion, of the little boy. When his father comes back, he's kind of like puzzled. He asks for the prasadam, and his son says, well, the deity he ate it. Because what do you mean he ate it? So the father, he hides, and he says, do it again. So again, he sees his son, offer the prasadam, and pleading with the deity to please take it, please eat it. And he sees that it's gone. And at that point, he realizes how exalted his son is. So really also among us, we may think, oh, this person's just this way and that person's that way. But actually, every one of you are here are so, like it says in one of the purports, I forget which one it is now, that we are all blessed, from the very beginning, from the very first moment that we get a book. Because I distributed books probably for 15 years, 5 years in the Miami airport and for 10 years in the airport in Hawaii. So met so many people. Hawaii was fantastic because you had so many different kinds of people coming through all the time. At one point, the administration of the airport, they made announcements about us. They said, there are people in the airport distributing flowers and literature. They are not endorsed by the airport or the state of Hawaii. Mahalo. So it's like, and they'd play it every 3 minutes. So what we decided to do is we just went up to the people and said, hey, did you hear the announcement about us? And it kind of totally threw them off. They're like, what? Every once in a while someone would say, yes, I heard it, and I don't want anything. But most people think, yeah, we heard it. So yeah, that's us, and this is what we're doing, and this is the book. And so Krishna gave us that intelligence to be able, to do that. So you never know, just with that, the intention that we have, the love that we have for Krishna, and it just grows and grows. Like Prabhupada had his whole life of devotion, right? Before he came to America. And then he was able to do what he did. He was able to do what he did, like little by little, and then, mile by mile and leap by leap, he was able to do that. So in our own lives, if we're able to remember that the love and devotion that we can muster up can help us in every way, in every service that we have. Once when I was in book distribution first of all, we were on Traveling Sankirtan. It was Tamahar, you may know him. He gave class yesterday at the temple. He's like a GBC devotee. And also there was Bhaktin, and there was a Bhakta, and I was a Bhaktin at that time too, Bhaktin Sandy. So basically we were groupies. We were following Prabhupada from place to place. So we started out in Miami, where we saw Prabhupada. And then we went to New Vrindavan, and then we went to Philadelphia, where I got initiated, and I got my name Sukhada. Then we went to New York, we went to Detroit, we went to Chicago. And then we came down to the southern states like Alabama. So we were distributing books in Alabama, in Montgomery, Alabama, at the lights. Do people do that anymore? I don't think so. We would stand at the street light. So when it was red, we would just jump out with our little bucket and our books. We'd give a quick line, and they would take a book, give a donation like that. Sometimes we'd do that all day, like 10 hours, distribute 300 magazines at the light. So policemen came up, and they arrested me, Tamahar, and Bhaktin, I forget what her name is, but the other Bhaktin, and they brought us to jail, so that was something new. Actually, when I was a teacher here for like 27 years. I got my degree in teaching many years ago in Michigan. So, so we got arrested, and we got put in jail. And amazingly enough, I knew Krishna had a plan, so I didn't like it, but I didn't feel upset. I didn't start to cry or anything like that. I thought, I wonder what Krishna's plan is here. Because here we are, just, on Traveling Sankirtan, just distributing books. That's all we're doing. And now we're in jail. So we were there all night. We couldn't eat anything because, they have things that are inedible. And the Bhaktin, she was starting to freak out a little bit. Next morning, they put us in a little white room. And then they brought us all out to the courtroom where the judge was. So the judge asked each one of us, like, what are you doing and why are you doing it? So I explained to him, I was a teacher. And really my my motivation for becoming a teacher was, at that time, there were so many problems. Like in material world, there always are, there's a lot of race riot problems and the Vietnam War and all of that. So I thought, like, well, by working with children, I'll be able to change the world. I'll be able to help them. But after teaching for a while, I felt so constricted by the curriculum and things. I thought, no, this is not going to be like I thought it was. So anyway, I became a devotee. So I was telling this to the judge. I was telling him, well, this is what I started with, and then I really wanted to help teach people about God. And he listened, and then, Tamahar got up and he spoke about why he became a devotee, each one of us. And when we finished, the judge said, I am so sorry that this happened to you. He said, I want to let you all go. And he said, and if you have any trouble along the way, he gave us his card. He said, you have my card. I'll try to help you. So we left, and Mantrini, Tamahar's wife, she made us a big prasadam feast, right? Because we hadn't eaten for so long. And she's like an incredible cook. So that was really fun. So we went in the mobile home, and we were all sitting there taking prasadam, and there was a knock at the door. We opened the door. Guess who it was? The judge and the bailiff. And so we invited them in. They came in and they sat down, and they had prasadam with us. And they gave $10 and took a Bhagavad Gita. And so that's how that ended. So, and we don't always see the result. That time we got to see the result, of our penance and our austerity. We don't always get to see that penance and result, but we can understand that once somebody has even touched a book, they've heard Hare Krishna, what to speak of like reading some of the book or coming to the temple. That's why it's so important when people come to our temple that we make sure that we connect with them, because all the work that we do in having our temples and going out and doing outreach, if someone finally makes it to the temple, like once I had been, I was out of town for a week. So when I came back the next week, there was a new woman there. So I sat down and talked with her. Is this your first time to the temple? She said, no, I came last week, she said, but when I came, nobody talked to me. But she said, so I wasn't going to come back, but I liked it so much, I decided to come back. But we don't want to miss that opportunity, of reaching out, because in this material world, it's difficult, people, even when you feel friends, we have friends, you don't always feel that heart connection like, we can have with Krishna. And once we have that heart connection with Krishna, we're really able to also, reach out to other people, connect with them also. So even I was thinking of another, there's so many prayers in the Bhagavatam, Brahma's prayers and Prahlad's prayers. Maybe some of you know this verse. You can say it with me if you remember, if you know it, from Prahlad. Shvashashtu visvasya kala prasidatam dhyanta bhutani shivam mitodaya manashta bhajam bhajate hoksajam aveshitam nomatir apyahaituki. And it's such a beautiful prayer. Prahlad says, let good fortune fall upon everyone, and let all envious people become satisfied. Let everyone practice bhakti yoga, Because in practicing bhakti yoga, everyone will become calm. And when everyone becomes calm, we'll really be able to think of each other's welfare. So that's the idea, that we do want good fortune to fall upon everyone, whether Republican or Democrat or whatever they are. We want that, the best thing to do, like sometimes things happen in this world that are so detestable that it makes me and others detest some of the personalities behind what we see, what's going on. But ideally, like this verse says, may good fortune fall upon everyone. May their hearts change. So we have this beautiful example of Lord Brahma being completely bewildered, and we ourselves may find ourselves bewildered from time to time just because the onslaught of material nature. We may find ourselves, in the mode of goodness or passion, or sometimes gliding into ignorance and forgetting everything. But because we have the intimate connection, if we want the help, if we want the guidance, Krishna will always give it to us. And by knowing some of these verses by heart, you don't have to know a lot of them, even just this one, or even, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, that's such a beautiful verse. To those who worship me with love, I'll give them understanding by how they can come to me. So we don't have a lot of time left. I'll leave it open for any kind of comments or questions or realizations that you might have. Maybe you have an experience where you have had difficulty and Krishna's helped you. Yes.
I was just thinking about that purpose say this. What was the phrase? Incredible empowerment, something like that.
Yeah, beyond imagination. Yeah.
But I was thinking that Krishna does so many bigger things also, and we were reflecting yesterday that Krishna also pays attention to so many little details. And then for me, we were reflecting that is even more incredible, that Krishna pays attention to these little details in our lives, and he arranges these little things. And
Can you give us an example?
An example?
Yeah.
It was so
It was so what?
It was
Very little thing.
It was such a little thing, but we felt Krishna's presence so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And we felt that, but the incredible thing is that Krishna, the Supreme Personality, got it. When you think of a big person, they always think of big issues, big picture, they're the visionary,
That's true.
leader.
Yes.
They don't think so much about the little things.
Yes, it's
or
true.
That's how it comes across, right? But in our lives, we see how Krishna pays attention to those little details, and in a sense, that's the biggest thing about Krishna. That's what he's done. And whenever you see, in news also, you hear like a big person, who are president or whatever, if they pay attention to a little guy, they just, Joe on the street, and everyone's like, oh look, he's talking to this average person, and he's so kind. It says like Krishna, it's like a thing that Krishna also has this supreme personality God that pays attention to little detail. Example, I guess I'll give one from many years ago. I remember when I was in Maryland and we were trying to preach, and a lot of things were going well, but a lot of things weren't going well either. And I remember one day, I was just shopping at the grocery store, and I was standing in line, and there was this one guy, and he had left his cart, and he was like, "I'm already here, go in the other line, I want to so I scooted over to the other line, I think, and then right when I scooted over, there was this greeting card, and he said that, and it said something to the extent that you're valued because you're kind.
Oh, wow.
It was such a small thing.
Yeah.
Somebody can just ignore it.
Yeah.
But I just felt like, I was feeling down.
He was reciprocating. I think it's such a good point that you're making about the little things, because you think how in Prabhupada's life, in one sense, he never wanted to take sannyas. If you read his history, like when he had a dream where Srila Bhaktivinoda was telling him to take sannyas, he was like, no. He wasn't ready for it. He didn't want to do it, But finally, finally the situation made it so that he almost had no choice, so he did it. But then the point you're making, all the little things that we do, all the kindness that we show to others, that kind of sets the stage for our whole life, how we are and how we reciprocate with others. All the time, things like even yesterday when I was getting, Mother Mukia is not there, so I was in charge of making the announcements. So I was getting the plates together, and I said this devotee, there was only one sponsor for the feast. And so there were 4 plates. So I said to him, "Oh, there's only one sponsor." And he got so mad. He was like, "Well, Mother Mukia told me to make up 5." I was like, "Okay, Prabhu." Okay. So we may find things like that happen to us, right? Like you were kind of insulted, right? We were kind of insulted by the person in the line, but we don't have to like react. Sometimes it's a great way to think like, I'm not going to act like that. That's not how I'm going to be. And then we can reflect on, it's like so wonderful generally to be an association devotee. Sometimes it can be a little difficult be an association devotee because everyone, if you're a new person, everyone might be telling you what to do. When I first went to the Detroit temple, I'd only been there once, maybe it was my second time there. And so I went to the bathroom with my bead bag because I didn't know. So when I came out, immediately someone started screaming at me, "You took your bead bag into the bathroom. Such a nonsense." And she just really like laid it on me. And I thought, gosh, I don't have to like put up with this. I can just go home and forget about it. And then I was like, I don't want to, I don't want to forget about it. I want to be part of this. It's just one person and the way they react, so anyway, so much to learn from Lord Brahma's prayers. When I started reading through all the verses, I was just kind of dumbstruck, that this living entity was able to do everything he did because of his penance and meditation. So that's the main thing. Like, how do we chant our rounds? How do we do our service? Do we do it mindfully? Or do we do it like hurriedly and we're thinking of something else? So if we can train ourselves to be conscious of what we're doing, it's very helpful. Yes.
So we hear that Lord Brahma did pieces and he was able to hear the Lord's direction with himself. And I've also heard before that at one point we were all Brahma. And if the only way to create the universe is to have this like guidance from within and this connection to the Lord, how do we lose that?
How do we lose it? Well, what do they call it? They call it causeless unwillingness to serve. The propensity to lord it over material nature can become so strong that when you're Lord Brahma, you're like, I'm Lord Brahma, and I can do this and I can do that and I can do the other thing instead of having a humble attitude, right? Like even as devotees now, we can become too proud. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's, and causeless envy, because generally our fall, I have heard that, we started with Lord Brahma, but that envy can cause us to leave the association, of the Lord. So that's something we always try to guard against, that causeless envy. And being the recipient of other people's envy as a devotee or a non-devotee shouldn't be a surprise because that kind of conditioning affects we've been in this material world for so long. Prabhupada says 8,400,000 species of life and probably many times through those species. So the fact that we were able to finally become devotees is very Samahatma Sadurlabaha. Such a great soul is very rare. So I think I'm supposed to stop here. Yes, Nishta.
Krishna, thank you so much for class. Also, fun fact, Mother Sukhada was my teacher in 2nd grade.
Oh my gosh. First and second grade?
I think both, yeah.
Yeah, first and second grade.
Thank you so much for the class. I felt very inspired when you were speaking about how to treat newcomers and like make people feel welcome. I wanted to know if you can elaborate on that, like how can we make sure that they're cared for and like that we're yeah, doing our part in like, you know.
I mean, it's probably a little different like here and when someone, let's say they move in, you know, but I think just offering friendship, which doesn't always mean like preaching to them, but just, you know, being a friend, making sure they have prasadam, just checking in with them like that, you know, that sometimes that's really what's needed because the information is there and we can share that, but also just offering, you know, it's a little bit of austerity sometimes offering yourself as a friend. And I was at a gathering, it was actually Sama Priya's 78th birthday party. So one of the devotees was sharing how when she was a hippie many years ago, this is silly, ridiculous really, but this woman was going to have a baby and she'd go to the hospital or anything. She just invited everybody over to have her baby, you know? So they're all there waiting for the baby to happen. And this devotee, Jagarini, she just started chanting, she wasn't even a devotee yet, but it must have been from a past life. She started chanting it and the baby was born and nobody said anything and she thought nothing of it. But she said years later, recently, her husband had met the brother of this woman who had the baby, and this woman had said, "Oh, this, you know, this girl, Jagrini, she came when I was giving birth, and she was chanting Om, and I never thanked her for that. Like how much that helped me, you know, be able to do that. So, you know, sometimes just a kind word, and you know, it can feel lonely sometimes when you first, and everything that's so different. So not to judge somebody if they do something terrible, like taking something and eating it before it's offered, or, you know, whatever thing that they might do, is just being very tolerant, right? And thinking of how tolerant Srila Prabhupada was with us, how much he overlooked and just always thought of the essence and how the purification would help. I mean, reading Prabhupada's Lilamrita is like incredible when you see, you know, somebody starting from negative a million and then coming up to 0 and going beyond is super inspiring. All right, thank you so much. Oh yes, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to go beyond imagination. I'm trying to imagine, how did the judge find you?
How did he what?
How did the judge find you?
Well, no, we had to go to court. Like we were in jail.
I know, but
Yeah.
after that.
Well, I have no idea. They must have followed us. Somebody must have followed, because we weren't that far away. We were like, we were down the street from the courthouse. So somebody had to watch us where we went. Maybe the judge himself. I don't know. It's a good question.
He wanted to check your story. He wanted to check your story.
Maybe that, and maybe he was genuinely, maybe, you know, devotees, you know, they have a special aura, you know, they really have a special effulgence that makes people remember them. Everyone I think has experienced it. Like you can go home to your family and like they just love you. You know, they love your cooking, they love everything about you. So I think that's part of it, you know, that Krishnaness that we have. You know, by the time 3 devotees told their story, how they became devotees, and he offered to give his card to help us, even that he already had gone from negative a million to like negative 1,000 just in that, you know, just doing that. So I think that's probably what happened. Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Hare Rama.